Alright, now this is where people get a little bit squeamish. Again, I've just got a defrosted rat with me, which I'm going to be feeding her. We do not feed our snakes live animals because it's unethical and it's not very nice, and no one would really want to see that. Alright. Now, just because I'm doing this does not mean, kids, that you do this in the wild, please. Otherwise, parents will kill you. Now, I want you guys to pay close attention to the way she strikes, because different animals actually have different strategies of striking. Digested, but at the end of this snake feeding show, I do bring out a snake and the lizard for you guys to hold and climb to the ground. Now, you are not obliged to do it, you can do it if you'd like. Now, again,
La puedes tocar.
so this is how you usually black and white so they're a constricted snake. They do not have any venom whatsoever, they are not harmful to people at all. Now, the reason they're called black-headed pythons, I'm sure you guys have already noticed, they've got a black head. Now, the reason they have a darker coloured head is because it helps them absorb the UV rays from the sun. Now, these guys are reptiles, which means they are cold-blooded creatures, and they do like the warmth. So just like our reptiles, they need the warmth to survive, just like our snakes, our monitors, and our lizards. Now, they've also got a really lovely tiger-like pattern along their body. Now, this helps them to camouflage with the surroundings around them. They are very common up here in the Northern Territory, and you'll spot them normally sitting on the road or sliding around in the road because it's nice and warm. Now, another thing these guys can do is they're able to actually stick their tail up. So, hang on, let me restart that. So these guys are they're terrestrial species of snake. So you'll only ever see them on the ground. You rarely find them in trees. So what they do is they like to hide in tree trunks, and they really like to hide in burrows as well. So what they'll do is they'll actually stick their tail up out of the burrow, and they'll wiggle it around like a worm, and then it'll bring all the predators all the prey that are quite interested, especially birds. So they'll come down into the burrow, and that's what they'll actually strike at their prey. Now, the way she's racked is recoiling, so she's pretty much squeezing, and she's meant to make that rat go unconscious until they're ready to actually devour it fully. Now, obviously, they don't have arms or legs, so they do have to completely devour that whole thing in one go. Now, that is why you guys are all sitting down, is when Penny has started eating, they go into something called hunting mode, which is essentially a mode that they'll go in where they're continuously ready to grab onto anything, just because this is the most vulnerable stage of, this is when they're most vulnerable, and so ultimately if I went and grabbed Penny, she would immediately go in defense mode because she doesn't know what's happening. So that's why everybody's sitting down. Now, another reason you guys are sitting down as well is their eyesight is actually quite poor. So like every snake can really only see shadows. If you have a look at a snake up close, you'll notice that they don't have any eyelids to actually close completely. And when they shed, they actually shed a layer of their lens on their eyes as well. And so essentially, all they see is shadows. Now, the black-headed pythons are a little bit different from your regular pythons, and that's because they don't have something called heat-sensing glands. Now, has anyone gone into the nocturnal area of the reptile house today yet?
Yes.
Yeah? Has anyone seen that really big TV? We call it ectothermic TV. So the heat-sensing bits that are located on a python's jaw actually allows them to see just like how that TV is showing you. If nobody has gone to go have a look in there, I definitely recommend it. It's really cool. But that is essentially how most pythons see, is using their heat-sensing bits. Now these guys and the Woma pythons are a little bit different, and that is because they don't have heat-sensing bits. So ultimately, they are able to eat. So heat-sensing bits allow them to feel warm creatures and cold-blooded creatures combined. So these guys, if you have them in your backyard, you most likely have no venomous snakes in your backyard. That's because they've actually decided to keep all the venomous snakes in your backyard, which is really cool. The black-headed pythons and the boa pythons also do prefer eating reptiles, saying that they can eat whatever they want. Now another way they also use their sense of sight is definitely their tongue. They're very well known for their having their forked tongue, which splits at the tip of their tongue. So ultimately their tongue is used for all things. So because their eyesight is so bad, it allows them to sense whether it's the predator or prey is going on the right. It's able to sense whether they need to use their flight mode as well. So it's used for multiple things. They've also got something located onto the top of their jaw called Jacobson's receptors. Now ultimately these receptors work 10 times faster than ours. I'm sure everybody in here has stumped their toe once or twice in their lifetime and immediately goes, ow! So imagine that, but 10 times faster. So their reaction, their receptors are 10 times better than ours as well. Now they can open their mouth up to about 160 degrees, 180 degrees, which is quite wide, and they can ultimately eat anything 95 to 100% more than their body can go. So they can eat quite big prey items. I've even got a photo here. It is a wallaby, and that is a scrub python. Now scrub python is actually the longest species of snake you'll find in Australia, found in Queensland. They reach a whopping 8 meters long. So you'll see here that you can see that the scrub python has completely started to devour that wallaby. So you can eat quite big prey items. You can easily take down a rabbit if you really want to. Feel free to pass it around. I've also got another one, which I'm sure, has anyone seen our olive python Daryl today? Yes. And I'm sure you guys saw the sign next to it. Yeah? No? Maybe? Sorry. They're quite loud. So Daryl, one of our olive pythons, are actually in here. He was a wild caught snake animal, but the reason he's in here is because he was actually a problem animal because he ate someone's Maltese terrier. So we also have this here. Again, quite cool. But this is the reason he's in here. Is the olive python, which is just inside of our reptile house. That is his brooch and his skin as well. Now, a lot of people ask as well how their jaw works, because not many people know, which is totally fine. But they've actually got their top jaw, which is completely intact, but they've actually got 2 ligaments located on their bottom jaw. So they've actually got no jaw to dislocate, and they've got no bone to break. So ultimately, when they start devouring the rat, they'll actually separate the ligaments on the bottom to allow them to make their mouth wider. And ultimately, when they start eating, you'll notice that they eat sideways, and it's because they're helping their ligaments actually swallow that rat whole. So ultimately, one ligament will be deployed and pull the rat in, and the other. So it's really helpful for them, especially when they're eating big prey items like tenders. Now she doesn't seem to have started to itch. Okay. So if you have a really close look at her, especially if you guys on this side, you'll notice that she starts to eat stuff. So it's really helping with these things. What else is there? We have about 14 species of python. Oh, sorry, hang on. I'm going to restart that. We have, I don't know how many species of snake we have in Australia. I don't know the exact number, but I can give you a rough estimate of 120 to 140 species of snake. Now, Australia is one of the only countries known to have more venomous snakes than non-venomous snakes. So we've only got 14 non-venomous species of snake. The rest are actually